This is not a fairy tale. This is not overnight success. This is the story of a man born into nothing, no wealth, no inheritance, no spotlight. And yet today, he owns empires, builds billion-dollar factories, sponsors Formula One, and owns part of Manchester United. His name is Sir James Ratcliffe, and he is now one of the richest men in the United Kingdom, with a fortune exceeding £29 billion. But what makes his story worth telling is not the money, it's the mindset. If you're a volunteer, an underdog, if you've ever been overlooked, underpaid, or underestimated, then this story is your mirror. Because Ratcliffe didn't just build Ineos, he built himself from the dust. James Ratcliffe was born in Failsworth, Greater Manchester, in 1952. The son of a joiner and an accounts office worker, he grew up in a council house, wearing hand-me-down clothes, eating rationed meals, and living in a Britain recovering from war and scarcity. There were no privileges, no silver spoons, no family businesses. But there was something else, a brain hungry to understand the world. From an early age, James had two unusual interests for a working-class boy: chemical equations, business margins. While other kids played football, James was fascinated by how things worked and how money moved. He studied chemical engineering at the University of Birmingham, a choice that made no one clap. But that education became the foundation of everything that followed. Then, in his 30s, while most were chasing stability, he went to the London Business School, earning an MBA, and sharpening the tools that would one day help him take on global giants. He didn't have investors, he didn't have mentors, but he had what most people lacked: a hunger for precision, a discipline to work in silence, and the courage to risk it all later on. Ratcliffe worked for Esso, then Courtaulds, learning every detail of how oil, chemicals, and energy markets operated. He wasn't chasing promotions, he was building a mental blueprint of an empire. In his 40s, when most people were just trying to pay off mortgages, James did something radical. He mortgaged his house, he borrowed personally, and he bought a failing chemical plant in Belgium. No backup, no rich friends, just faith and fire. In 1998, James Ratcliffe founded Ineos, a name now recognized across industries, but back then just a tiny, unknown private firm. His formula: buy unwanted divisions from major companies like BP, cut unnecessary bureaucracy, focus on performance, not politics. In short, run industrial business like a startup. In a world of suits and slow decisions, Ratcliffe moved fast, ruthless, efficient, and it worked. Ineos grew explosively. In just over a decade, it became a global force, operating in 26 countries, employing over 26,000 people. With a revenue crossing $60 billion USD, James Ratcliffe became a billionaire, and yet remained almost invisible in the media. Why? Because he wasn't chasing attention, he was chasing scale. While others built personal brands, he built steel factories, hydrogen plants, shipping lines, and entire infrastructure ecosystems. But Ratcliffe isn't just about chemicals. He is a man of legacy and performance. He invested in Team Ineos, the cycling team that dominated the Tour de France, entered Formula One, partnering with Mercedes-AMG, bought Nice FC in France, then Lausanne Sport in Switzerland, and most recently became a co-owner of Manchester United, the very club he grew up cheering for. Why does a man of chemicals invest in sports? Because sports reflect what Ratcliffe values most: discipline, strategy, winning through relentless systems. So what truly made James Ratcliffe a billionaire? Not luck, not inheritance. He believed in merit over noise, he embraced risk when others hesitated, he focused on process, not popularity, and most of all, he kept moving. Even when it was hard, lonely, or unclear, he said, business is simple, people overcomplicate it. Know your margins, cut your waste, act fast. If you're a volunteer, a startup dreamer, someone working for free today with only faith in your hands, this story is your mirror. James Ratcliffe didn't get paid much for decades. He worked in factories, he studied by night, he risked his home. What he had was discipline, the kind of discipline you're showing right now. Because what you're building, even if it's unpaid, unseen, and slow, is your character, your vision, and your future business empire. Not every billionaire is a role model, but James Ratcliffe, he proves that it's still possible to build greatness from grit. So don't wait for applause. Work in silence, learn like your life depends on it. And when the moment comes, risk everything with fire in your heart. Because the world wasn't made by people who waited, it was made by people who started before they were ready.